Apple has spent decades building a fortress. Modern iOS is a locked-down ecosystem designed so tightly that injecting malware or physically breaching the hardware requires millions of dollars in zero-day exploits. But that extreme engineering creates a psychological vulnerability. When you hold an iPhone, you naturally assume the device itself will protect you from the internet. Then your screen lights up, an SMS warning that your iCloud storage is full, or an urgent email claiming your Apple ID has been locked. The clock is ticking, and you have 24 hours to verify your details. Panic sets in. You see a link pointing to what looks exactly like appleid.com, and you tap it to resolve the issue. When you enter your credentials into a fake portal, the device's encryption remains intact, but it becomes secondary. You are providing the valid authorization needed to bypass the security layers from the inside. Scammers focus their efforts on the one component software updates cannot patch: the user's perception of the interface. A locked Apple ID alert, a suspended bank account notice, or a canceled Booking.com itinerary. The strategy is exactly the same. Curious, how exactly do these thieves build digital environments convincing enough to fool cautious people using highly secure devices? They operate in broad daylight, weaponizing the very logos, colors, and layouts you've been trained to trust. The entire scam pivots on a technique called domain spoofing. In theory, a web address is a unique digital fingerprint. No two sites can share the exact same URL. Look at how a standard address is built: a main domain, a top-level domain, and a subdomain prefix. Browsers read this strict hierarchy. To bypass this, thieves use homoglyphs, swapping standard English letters for identical Cyrillic characters. Alternatively, they use a smokescreen, burying the trusted brand inside a sprawling, malicious web address. Because our brains prioritize speed over precision, we scan the first few familiar letters, assume we are safe, and ignore the rest of the text. The address bar is the single structural flaw in the entire illusion. It is the one tiny piece of reality the scammers cannot perfectly clone. Once you click that link and get past the address bar, the visual environment you land in is flawless. This animation shows how the trap is actually built. Scammers don't design these pages from scratch. They scrape the raw HTML and CSS code directly from the official website and transplant it onto their own isolated servers. This copy and paste technique is why a fake Booking.com portal looks completely indistinguishable from the real travel site. The code generating the buttons and text boxes is literally identical. Then comes the extraction. Believing you are on the official site, you type in your username and your password. But this cloned portal doesn't verify your identity. It is a dummy terminal, funneling every keystroke straight into a remote, malicious database. The interaction is a one-way mirror. You think you are securely logging into Apple, while the person on the other side is simply recording your most sensitive data in plain text. Modern cybersecurity has moved far beyond the microchip. The actual front line is human cognition. As tech companies have successfully fortified their hardware, the path of least resistance has shifted. Tricking a person into opening the door from the inside requires almost zero technical skill and costs pennies. That means we can no longer rely on visual cues to keep us safe. Familiar logos, perfectly matched colors, and standard typography are easily faked. Judging a website by how it looks is a guaranteed way to lose your data. The most effective defense against this visual deception is taking the human eye out of the equation entirely, using a dedicated password manager. A password manager doesn't see logos or clean web design. It is completely blind to aesthetics. While you look at a branded interface, the software strictly scans the raw structural code of the URL. If it detects an out-of-place character or hidden subdomain, it refuses to autofill your credentials, stopping extraction dead in its tracks. Combine that software check with a strict behavioral rule. Whenever you receive an urgent message, never tap the provided link. Open your browser and type the known address manually. Staying secure within a closed ecosystem requires shifting trust away from visual familiarity toward verifiable code.